We're talking a little bit of Tarik Skubal. And guys, we know we've talked about him not only all season long, but a lot today for good reason. And from Bob Nightengale, he says that the Tigers will listen to offers for two-time Cy Young winner Tarik Skubal. But as we talked about it with Ken. It just that doesn't seem likely that they would ever take an offer, right? I think Bob phrased it: you have to sacrifice your firstborn star players and best prospects, or don't call it all. KP, what do we think?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the deserving package of getting a guy like Tarik Skubal. He automatically makes your team that much better. He's a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner. He's a guy that you want starting playoff games. In a perfect world, I'd love to see him just stay in Detroit. I wish they could figure out a way to sign him a deal, but knowing who his agent is, he's going to go to the end and, test the free agent market, which he deserves to do. But I love a guy like Tarik Skubal that, is brought up with an organization, finds his way, rewards the organization with being the player that he thought he could be and the organization thought he could be. It'd be great. It would be a great story if he could stay there, but probably very unlikely he stays there. I think their run of success has, the emotional component to it where the fans want them to keep him. And, the front office has a tough decision to make because they've been successful the last 2 years, mostly because he's been, their opening day starter and starting postseason games for him. But, you think back to an organization like the Angels that didn't trade Shohei and how behind they are as an organization. So they have a tough decision to make.
All right. Well, Bob may not think that highly of his firstborn because I'm pretty sure this firstborn is not winning you a playoff series. Tarik Skubal can win you a playoff series. So to me, the organizations that don't push as hard as they possibly could to get Skubal, what's the worst that comes of it? Like you told your your number one prospect in your organization, oh, sorry, I know we still like you, even though we look to trade you for Tarik Skubal. It's okay. There's no feelings hurt. Tarik Skubal has put the Tigers on his back. He's not going to go to another organization and just start put the list out there. Orioles, Red Sox, Philly, like whatever the organization is that says they want to be all in, you should be all in for Tarik Skubal because he will put your organization on their back. And I don't care if you already have a number one. I don't care if it's a team like the Phillies who already has 3 legit playoff starters. I don't care what the cost is because right now, if you trade for him in the offseason, you still get a qualifying offer for him when you let him walk. But the teams that could go for him, unless it's the Orioles, have an opportunity to pay him because you're going to want to pay him when he's in free agency because he is a generational ace that you get his prime for 1 year. And I would say the value is never higher. And I also would say the Tigers, if they do listen and do make this trade, they're not out of it. They're not completely out of it. Some would say, well, there'll be a big step back. I get it. But you can get franchise-changing players when you already have a good young core on the team.
Well, I think that also begs the question, and KP, I'll pose this to you. Would offers get worse if this drags into the season?
Ooh, probably. I mean, I think this is the maximum you're probably going to get for him. I mean, maybe the trade deadline when teams get a little bit desperate, but an entire year of Tarik Skubal, starting opening day for me, making 30 plus starts, I don't think the value is ever going to be any higher than right now. And to Kratz's point, what the Tigers have built, partially because of Tarik Skubal, but the nice young core that they have, you're going to get a king's ransom for him. And you can legitimately alter your minor league system and even your major league roster with the whole haul that you're going to get back for Tarik Skubal. So whatever Detroit decides to do, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. My number one choice would be figure out a way to sign him long-term because he's really put the Detroit Tigers back on the map in the baseball world. But it's very unlikely knowing who his agent and obviously as a player that's won back-to-back Cy Youngs and arguably the best pitcher in the sport, you earn that right to be a free agent and go out there and test the free agent market. But a lot of it has to do with the player. Does Tarik Skubal love being a Detroit Tiger? Does he love living in Detroit? Those are factors that you'll just really never know.
And obviously this will never happen. And I'm just saying this because of how I would think as a general manager, as even an owner, to like be allowed to push this through. Think about a team, an organization that drafts so well and has found loopholes in the draft to be able to just get so much talent and amass talent, but has been on the doorstep but never gotten to the chip. What if the Brewers traded for Tarik Skubal? Zero interest in ever re-signing him. I would be fine with that because it would be him and Freddie Peralta. Good luck beating two aces, two number ones in one playoff season. You're totally pushing all in for this, and you give away 4, possibly 5 prospects from your organization, and it's a 1-year contract. And at the end of the year, you know what you get? You get a qualifying offer, which all these organizations love to have. You make this deal, and you automatically become the favorite in the NL Central and possibly one of the toughest teams to play in the playoffs because of the fact, and I know they got swept out, but it's time to strike because this is your last year of Freddie Peralta too.
Kratz Pop Quiz. What has 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, comes in excellent flavors like, of course, chocolate, vanilla, but chocolate peanut butter, my favorite, no added sugar, gluten-free, under $5 per meal, and is ready to drink.
Go out the house, get yourself a Huel. Look at you. You even have one right there. Ready to smack that, John? Chocolate, peanut butter, chocolate, and vanilla. Deliciosos.
Also, there is a new Daily Greens ready to drink, 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories on that one, 4 grams of fiber. There's flavors like blueberry, apple, peach. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with the code FOUL at huel.com/FOUL. Use that code FOUL and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support FT.
Let's move on to the market for you guys, his name really, I struggle with it.
Munetaka Murakami.
Murakami. It's going to be fascinating. We know he's got that power, but we've also heard a lot of talk about concerns about his contact rates and also his defense at third. But I think it's fair to say that there's going to be a lot of interest in him. There's going to be a lot of chatter in him, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the market shakes out for him. KP, how do you see the market shaking out for him and maybe the most logical fit for him?
Well, I don't know much about him, but I know that he's got a ton of power. I know there's some swing and miss, and you never really know some of these guys that come over from other countries. Do they want to play in these giant markets and do they want to be stars, or do they want to go to some smaller markets and maybe kind of just blend in and hide? I mean, at the end of the day, are they leaving their country to come over and challenge themselves to play in the best league in the world to make money, or they become famous? I mean, these are the questions you have to ask. If he wants to be, famous and play in a big market, obviously you have your LAs, your New Yorks, your Chicagos, San Franciscos. If he wants to play in a smaller market and maybe just, be able to blend in and make his money and then challenge himself and try to grow in the game, there's a lot smaller markets he can go to.
Yeah, I assume there's no way he's coming over to play in St. Louis or Milwaukee or Cincinnati. I feel like if I'm going to another country and I've seen other guys come over and have success, I feel like it's a small list of teams. Obviously, he has a chance to, follow in Ichiro's steps and be a legend in Seattle. He has a chance to, I don't think the Dodgers have been linked to him. I don't think his style or game really, I don't see how they have a place for him in the spot, taking Max Muncy's spot at third with his below average defense that Murakami brings, can't DH, isn't playing first. So I don't think that fits there. The Yankees fit is intriguing to me because of the fact that everyone's going to say, well, he strikes out a ton. The Yankees love dudes that hit the ball really hard. I talked to a scout that said the fear for him is not that what he's done recently. The excitement of him is what really is intriguing, because in 22, he came out and looked like one of the, if not the best hitter in Japan. And that's with Seiya Suzuki there, who was putting together an all-star, possibly MVP type of first half, and then he fell off. But Murakami's ability to make changes back in 22 was hitting everything up, down, hard, soft. It didn't matter. They're intrigued by that. And this is a scout from a prominent team that would be in the market. And I'm intrigued to see if they buy the possible upside on him, or if teams say, no, we don't want any of this because of the downside that they've seen in the last few years.
Yeah, Kratzy, I was going to ask you too. I'm not as familiar with the game in Japan, but I know the knock on him was not being able to hit velocity. But is that because you're not seeing as much velocity in Japan? You're seeing a lot more off speed? Is there, obviously we've seen a lot of Japanese players come over here and make the adjustment. Like I'm just not as familiar with, maybe you're not seeing 95 on the reg in Japan like you are here, even in the minor leagues. So, I know that's the big knock on him, is he can't hit velocity.
100%. I said this on the show the other day, that the same thing, even when I played against Seiya Suzuki, I was like, I don't know, like top of the zone heaters, can't really get to it. I'm trying to think. Jojima couldn't hit a fastball back in the day. Akinori Iwamura, who came over, played with the Pirates and the Rays, wasn't able to hit the fastball. They made adjustments. And the guys, even some of the players from Korea, the guys that can make an adjustment, they have the success. And the scout that I talked to said it wasn't the fact that he couldn't. Like, it looks like his bat speed is there. It looks like he has the ability to make the adjustment. It was the fact that he didn't hit it. And sometimes, KP, you know this, dudes sit on pitches. And if you're constantly getting splitters, you're constantly getting 12-6 curveballs, because the Japanese game is played more north-south than it is east-west. Now, all of a sudden, you're going from starters there that can touch 100 easily to a starter that's throwing more like a AAA speed, like 86, 88. And then you're going one bullpen guy who throws gas, and then a bunch of, it's a large fall off to that velocity over in Japan on a consistent basis. You're still seeing a lot of velocity, but wouldn't you rather hit 75% of the guys that you're going to see who have lower velocity than 25%? That's how you make a career. You just annihilate dudes that don't throw well, and you just try to compete against the best.
Okay, so this is an interesting part of this whole conversation, right? We know that Jim Bowden wrote a little bit about this. He said that the other team that could be a sleeper is the Rockies, because his power would be impactful at that altitude. What do you guys think about that? KP?
Well, that's what I was kind of teeing up a little bit. I didn't want to give it away because I did read the notes before the show. I knew this was coming. But if you're a player who wants to just come over and maybe hide, it's a perfect place to go. You think about Chris Bryant went there and we never talk about it anymore. So if this player wants to come over, make his money, try to compete in the big leagues, and have no one ever really talk about him or care about what he does, Colorado's the place for him. But very unlikely that he would end up in Colorado.
All I want to be is just on screen right now. I get this look from my daughter all the time. And I'll explain it to the podcast. It's the look of tilting your head, the eye roll. Sorry. Jim Bowden is not. Jim Bowden, you are a friend of the show. You are a regular on this show. You have incredible insights. I can't wait till he comes on the show. But I would need to hear why Murakami is going there. Is it because he's going to go there on a one-year deal to increase his value? Like, I feel like there has to be a reason why that would happen. And, hey, you know what? Huge ballpark. People think you just hit dingers. The people that have success there are the dudes that make contact. Because as KP will tell you, you got to run around that freaking outfield. Everyone's like, oh, homer, homer, homer. If you strike out in Colorado, man, like, you're leaving a lot of value on the table. So, no, we are a legitimate show. No, Colorado should not get them unless we don't ever want to talk about Murakami again.
Okay, well, he did say it could help minimize his swing and miss issues, right? And that's why he said that. It was part of the reason why he said that, Eric. I'm
You're
not
still going to
him.
strike
I'm
out.
just saying. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I would say he's more likely to go to a place that's going to help him fix his problem of swing and miss than go to a place where he can hide his swing and miss.
Yeah.
And Colorado hasn't been a place that's over the last couple of years proven to say we have the department in place, the hitting coaches in place to, take a player and really improve them. So it's very unlikely. And if
They
I
have a
can make
football
that
guy.
same face, I would do it. Yeah, they have
They
a
have a
football
football
guy.
guy that's running it. So that's good. So maybe Murakami wants some Browns tickets. Who knows? Maybe that's why.
Maybe he's a two-way. Maybe he's also a tight end too, looking for, I don't know.
Listen, I agree. Jim's not here, so I just thought I would stand up a little bit for what he said.